Well, what's happening? Prince Ash here, back with another video, another rambling on. And I'm very grateful this morning to be waking up fresh and to be here and to be able to make this video, and grateful for everything in my life this morning. I'm content, I'm happy. I'm not worried about what happened last night, or, nothing happened last night, But if I was drinking, obviously there'd be a hell of a lot of shit that would have went on the night before, and I'd be feeling a hell of a lot of different emotions this morning, all negative emotions. If it's fair to say that emotions can be negative, it can be good to feel emotions, but I'll tell you, I'd be feeling guilt and shame and remorse and depression and all that shit. Like, that's where my drinking brings me. I was gonna do a reaction video there, but my phone is slightly overheating, and it just froze twice when I tried to record a reaction video, so I'll have to record that later on, and that's alright as well. It'll be coming later on, early morning. Big up. I know you've suggested another track to do a reaction to, so I will do that tonight. I've no idea what time it is in Australia. I know early mornings, I think, from Australia, so yeah, I don't know what time it'll be in Australia when I record it. Anyway, if you've made it this far, drop a like, drop a comment, maybe a suggestion for a video, a question or anything, or just subscribe to the channel. We're on 249. We're aiming for 250. So come on. Click that subscribe button. And today I'm going to bring it back to 2022, early 2022, January 2022. My mother kicked me out of the home house in Salt Hill, Galway, the city I'm from in the west of Ireland, and I became homeless. And I ended up in a homeless shelter in Galway called the Fair Green Hostel. And there's elements of the Fair Green that are kind of cushy, like, and then there's kind of the underbelly of it, which isn't exactly an underbelly because it's, people know what's going on in there, but there's drug use and addiction and shit like that going on naturally. It's a homeless shelter. It's gonna have its issues like that, and you know what, it's not much different than most streets around Galway. You can get drugs anywhere and they're readily available, like. So yeah, the Fair Green it's not all that bad, like. It is a depressing place. I found it quite depressing, and I never felt comfortable there or safe, to be honest, like. And I was mixing with the wrong people. I'd be drunk. I was drinking this entire time, and once I loosen up and lose the inhibitions, I start palling around and hanging around with anyone. I don't give a shit. Preferably another addict who can keep up with my drinking or my drug use, or who has access to drugs, and that's kind of who I like to hang around with, That was kind of the nature of it, like. And yeah, I started using drugs as well. I spoke about this in a previous video, but I'm gonna say it again. The story, like, there was a guy, my next door neighbor in the Fair Green. He had access to hard drugs like heroin. It's not exactly relevant just yet, but he asked me for a loan of €50, and I just got my dole. It was stupid. Looking back, I wouldn't do it again. But I was kind of young and naive and a bit fucking. I said I wanted this guy to respect me or like me. So for whatever reason, So I was like, yeah, here, no problem, man. Give it back to me. He's like, I'll throw it back to you Thursday. And I was like, so, man. And Thursday rolls around and he fucking gives me 25 quid. And he's like, I'll get the rest for you the next day. I was like, yeah, sound. Yeah, I did make a big deal of it anyway. And so, yeah, a day or two later, he knocks on my door and he's like, I have something for you. I was like, all right. And he was like, here, come into my room there. I went into his room and he was like, do you want to smoke some of this? And that'll knock off the money I owe you. And I was drunk, so I was like, so, man. And it was heroin, like, and I didn't really give a bollocks because I said, fuck it, I kind of want to try that, like, and see what it's like. I know it's stupid, like, as an addict, it's, like, dangerous, really dangerous to do that, like. But I didn't really give a shit. I was down on my luck, I was depressed, I was addicted to drugs and alcohol, and I was like, hopefully that is going to be a good buzz, like. And ended up smoking it, and it wasn't overwhelmingly great, but it was pretty nice. Like, Trainspotting described it as like, take your best orgasm and multiply it by 1,000 and you won't even come close. That's a terrible Scottish accent I've just done, but do you know what, man? It's not like you've just fucking had 1,000 orgasms and it doesn't come close. It was decent. Yeah, it was decent anyway. And I started using that every day then in the hostel, and I was drinking like mad. I was smoking a bit of weed, doing a bit of cocaine. Look, this is all trivial stuff I'm talking about here. Let's not get bogged down in what I was using, how much I was using, but I was using heavily. And this brings me to two stories where I nearly died. The first one is, I was out using and drinking all day, and the evening time rolls around, and I'm hanging around with about 3 or 4 other lads from the hostel. You weren't allowed drink inside the hostel, so most people like hid their drink and shit in bushes, like, near the hostel. Except I didn't give a shit, so I was like always trying to sneak my drink in, because I liked to have a drink in my room and leave it at that. But it never ended like that. It was always me running around the hostel, knocking on doors. Who has cigarettes? Who has a rollie? Who has weed? Who has heroin? I'm knocking on their door. I'm like, fucking give me some of that shit, like. So yeah, anyway, I was with one lad and he's dead now, God rest him. But he had drink hidden in a bush down the road. So he's like, here, come down, I'll give you a can. And a few of us went down and he gave us a can each and we were drinking them away. And I wouldn't say it was very nice, like, to be honest, man. It was depressing. there was no fun in it. For me, anyway, there was just no fun in it at that time. And this guy says we were there's a curfew in the hostel. It's like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, and if you don't make it back in before then, you're locked out until like 7 a.m. I think in the morning. And it got to like 12:45, and I was with this guy, and he says like, are you heading back in, are you? I was like, I don't know, what are you doing? And he's like, might go for a walk around the town, fuck it, we'll just head back in at 7 a.m, man. And I was like, yeah, so man, let's go for a walk and see what the buzz is around town. And obviously, both of us, the only thing on both of our minds was, where can we get more drink? You know what I mean? There's not going to be more drink in the hostel, but there's potentially more drink around town. So we went around town. There was a rubbish bag full of bottles. We opened it up. We were looking for empty drink. The fucking everything in that bag was empty, and we still looked through the whole thing. Remember, there was one guy on the street drinking a can, and we both kind of accosted him. I was like, give me that fucking can now. And he was like, oh, do you want to catch my COVID, dear? I was like, fucking, I took his fucking can. Oh, yeah, disgusting. Yeah, it's just shit. Anyway, we walked a massive loop around the city all the way into the suburbs and back. And we made it back for like 4 a.m, 5 a.m. maybe. Sun was kind of coming up. And he was like, alright, what are we going to do now? We're both like, what the fuck? What should we do? I don't know. And he's like, I'm going into the train station. I'm going to sleep there. And I was like, I'll go up and have a look around the hostel, see if I can get in. You go into the train station, man. So he went in, and I'm pretty sure he just passed out in there. And I just sat outside the hostel like this, you know. It's like fucking, just couldn't do anything else, like, and started to get really cold, like. But I didn't really care because I was drunk, like, so I started just like going to sleep on the footpath. And I woke up at pretty much bang on 7 a.m. and I was shivering. I had been shivering in my sleep, and I was like fucking so cold. I was like probably near hypothermia. And it was actually 2 people that woke me up. And they were like social workers, or they were workers for a homeless charity. And they gave me one of them tinfoil blankets, and I was like, what time is it? And they were like 7:15. I was like, fuck, I can get in now. And I was like, thanks. And they were like, do you want a tea or a coffee? I was like, no, I'm going. And I went inside. I went straight to bed, fell asleep with the tinfoil blanket on me and my own blanket over me after. And I was shivering in bed for like hours on end after. I was like, I couldn't warm up. And looking back, I could have died. You know, if those people from the homeless charity didn't wake me up, I could have died, you know. And people do die that way, often in addiction, like, you know. The second story is, I'll make a long story short, to be honest. I won't go into the nitty gritty too much, like, I'd been out using all day, drinking all day with this other homeless guy my own age. He was from up the country a bit, and he had court in Galway. He came down because he had a court case from a while back, and his mother brought him to court, and I don't know, I can't remember what the outcome was in court, but his mother just fucked off and left him in Galway. So he was he decided to stay in Galway, and I bumped into him at the off license, like, and we were both buying a drink and just got chatting to him, and ended up palling around with him and hanging around with him for like a couple of weeks. Like every day I'd meet him at the off license and we go for a buzz around town, like, and yeah, have the crack anyway and chatting to women and stuff. And yeah, we got up to a few different kind of antics anyway. But I'd been out using with him and another person who I won't mention, and I was taking Valium, we were smoking weed, we were smoking heroin, and I had like a bottle of vodka in me, like a 700 ml vodka. So I was absolutely wavy, man. And he was saying, like, should we fuck off? Should we just get a plane to Scotland and see what it's like there? And I was like, nah, because I was in the homeless shelter, and had I left the country, I would have lost my place there, and then I would have been roughing it out on the street, like. So I was like, nah, man, let's stay in Galway. And yeah, let's just keep getting fucked up and stay here in Galway. And it got to like 12:30 or around that time, and I was like, yeah, I better go back in, man. And he was like, yeah, sound, man. And we were in this like shipping container. That's why we were doing all the drugs and drinking and stuff. And he literally was like passing out and stuff. I was like, fuck it, man, I'll see you tomorrow. And I got into the hostel and everything was just fucking wavy. I was like, could barely open my eyes. I was say my pupils were fucking tiny, man. And I blacked out. I can't remember jack shit about it really. And woke up in the morning, and my key worker in the hostel like knocked on my door and woke me up in the morning. He's like, John, last night we nearly had to ring an ambulance for you. Your breathing had gone shallow. I had to stay by your bed all night. You were on a combination of drugs, like, that's not good. And he's like, here, come downstairs and let's fill out an assessment form, like, for you. And he was asking me a few like different questions on the assessment form, and at the end of it he was like, you're at high risk of an overdose, like, please try and limit your consumption from here on in, because what you're doing is dangerous. And I didn't heed the warning. I was so addicted that it went over my head. I was so addicted that I was like, it's not gonna happen to me. I'm fine. I can handle all of this shit. Like it should have been a massive wake up call. When I look back in retrospect, that's a fucking huge wake up call. Like, that I'm playing around with my life. Like, and I talk about it quite often, you know, in certain circles, and I reflect on those times where I pretty much could have died, but I didn't. And you know, it's important to talk about these things because it's the truth, it's reality, and it's just a sign that I can't safely use drink and drugs. So I have to stay away from that shit. And my life is completely different today, like, and I want to keep it that way. Like, it's just a better life I'm living now, a different life, and I'm grateful this morning. And this is Rambling On for today. Any suggestions, any questions, drop them in the comments. If you can relate, you found it interesting, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Yeah. This has been Prince Ash, PrinceAshOfficial. Have a great day. Peace.